So, one of the biggest questions that I am having to face since my daughter died is, who am I? And let me tell you, half the time I have no freaking idea. So, if you are suffering from identity loss after losing a loved one, especially a child, stick with me. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, if you research it, like I have, you will see that loss of identity is considered a secondary loss. And a lot of times it's just kind of thrown in a long list of secondary losses, but it's never really explained what it is, or better yet, how to fix it, right? Because that's what we really want to know is, how do we deal with this? What is loss of identity like? So for me personally, my loss of identity stems from going from mother of 3 kids, exhausted, full-time working mom who came home every day and rushed around like a nut, trying to get everything done, trying to get the meals made, homework finished, everything that needed to happen, to losing my elementary school child that was always attached to my hip, always went everywhere with me, needed the most help. I mean, Libby needed me. She wanted to be with me. She loved doing things with me. And she still needed me at 10 years old. And she was a competitive dancer. So it was like constant running back and forth to the dance studio. And that kind of gave me my purpose, was being this full-time working mom. So I lost that identity when I lost Libby. I went from having that to having 2 teenage boys that are pretty much grown. My oldest is 19. He's in college. He's self-sufficient. And my senior is a senior. And honestly, he does not want to hang out with his mom. I am super lame right now, apparently. And he does his own thing. So they don't need me like Libby did. The other way that I lost my identity is I'm not a wife anymore. I was a wife and a mother, and my marriage kind of imploded after Libby died. So I am no longer a wife. I'm single, and I don't have anyone needing me the same way that I used to. I was also always the person who ran the household, who kept things going, who made all the appointments, who kept everything organized, who made all the meals. And I prided myself on being good at that. I was kind of like the how does she do it all mom, and I loved that. I was exhausted, I was tired, but that's who I was. That's who I considered myself. Was just the full-time working tired mom and wife. And now I don't have that. A lot of people that lose someone close to them go through the same things. And a lot of people even, you're struggling so hard trying to keep going that you lose jobs, you lose relationships, maybe relationships with family. More importantly, something else that I've gone through is losing the person who I was through my daughter's eyes. So maybe it's the same way for you. You lose the person who you were to the person that died. Libby was the person who constantly told me that she loved me, gave me hugs and kisses, told me I was the best mom ever. And I loved that about her. And I don't have that anymore. No one's telling me those things. So it's hard to go from hearing that all the time from her to losing that feeling of feeling worthwhile, of feeling like I was doing something good and right. So the big question is, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? The answer that sucks is we don't fix it. And I'm not kidding. A little, maybe. We can't fix it. The first step in dealing with your identity loss is to accept that you will never be the person that you were before your loved one died. You just won't. I'm sorry. Especially if it was a child. You aren't coming back from that. It fundamentally changes you as a person. If you have a child that died, it is the worst possible thing that could happen to you. The worst has happened. And that shakes your faith in the world, your family, and your future as you saw it. And you don't really recover from that. You just learn to live with it and to adjust. So you can come back mostly, but you'll never be the same. The second step then, once you realize that, is asking yourself, who in the hell am I? Who do I want to be? What would I like my future to look like? And to figure that out, you can do two different things, two recommendations that I have. You can think back to your younger self. Like, think about yourself in high school or when you were a kid. What were the things that you loved that you've given up? Or what were the jobs that you wanted to have that maybe you've given up hope on ever having those jobs? So you could think of it that way. The other thing that you can do, and this is what I recommend, is visualizing. I want you to lay down in a quiet room when you actually have some time to yourself. And I want you to actually visualize in your head a moment in the future. It can be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, depending on how old you are and whatever. Just pick a good time period and imagine what your life is like at that time. A life that you would be content with. I know it's so hard as someone who's lost a child to picture ever being happy again. That seems so far-fetched to most of us. But picture somewhere where you would be content. Okay. And look around and think, okay, where are you? What does it look like here? Who am I with? What am I doing? Or what did I just get home from doing? Like, go through every tiny little detail of that visualization of something or someplace where you would be content in the future. And then the third step after you visualize that is I want you to take tiny little action steps that will help lead you in that direction. I'm not talking huge, giant steps that are overwhelming here. I'm talking baby steps that are leading you to the kind of life that you want to live. Okay, so let me break this down for you with my own personal examples, and maybe that will make it a little more clear. When I pictured my future as a girl up until high school, until it happened, I wanted to be a mom and a wife. I wanted to run a house. I love everything that has to do with like being a homemaker. But I also am a teacher and I work full time because I couldn't afford to stay home. But I had all that. I was a wife and a mom of 3 kids once upon a time. And then my first marriage ended and that dream sort of shattered. And I knew I was never going to have that perfect nuclear family that I had always dreamed of, that I thought was my future. And then when Libby died, the whole dream just imploded. My oldest son is 100% convinced that he is never having any children. And my senior, he thinks that he might have kids, but I also think he's the kind of person that is just going to go do his own thing and probably won't come home very often unless he's like obligated. He's very, very independent. So really everything that I had pictured for my future being like the awesome mom and then the awesome grandma, none of that's going to happen. I mean, at least not as of right now. So that dream, I've had to learn to let that go along with my daughter. Because she was the one who also wanted to be a mom and a wife and have kids and was going to give me grandkids and would have been home constantly. I am 100% positive. And that's not going to happen. And that sucks. So yeah, I have found myself having to completely pivot and find things that I think would make me content as I get older, things that I wanted. I've had to try to reimagine the life I thought that I would be living. In my perfect world, I will retire from teaching. I've been teaching for 21 years right now. I will retire when I hit 25 years. And by that point, I would love to be able to support myself doing this kind of thing, YouTube, social media, freelance writing, the blog, and helping people in that way. So in order to do that, my action steps are just tiny little action steps right now. So in order to get me to that point, I'm focusing a lot more on making changes to my finances, getting on more strict budget so that I can save more for retirement, trying to post regularly on my channels and the different things that I'm doing with my side businesses here, just to kind of build those up. So hopefully one day they can support me when I am done teaching. The other thing is I've also, in my future, I have always had an obsession with houses. Always. If you know me, you know I am freaking obsessed with houses. And redecorating them and renovating them. So my dream, when I visualize myself in the future and I'm in my happy place is sitting in a restored old cabin, and I am in front of a crackling wood burning fireplace, and I'm reading a book, and I've got a cup of hot chocolate, and yeah, I'm just sitting by the fire in my PJs, relaxing. So to get there, I learn all I can about houses, what it's going to take to find one of those cabins, to renovate it, to make it what I want. And then I'm taking the small action steps. I also, I don't know if this counts, but I watch like a bazillion restoration and decorating television shows. So I feel like I've watched almost all of them. And, you know, I consider that preparation for my future goals. I also want to feel like a good person, like I'm doing something for my community and I'm leaving the world a better place than I found it. And that's a huge, important thing to me. So in order to do that, little action steps, I joined a book club, which I know doesn't seem like it's saving the world, but it's building community, and it's something that I like to do, and it gets me out of the house, which is nice. I also joined a women's group who volunteers with local nonprofits, and it's not huge time commitments here, but it makes me feel like I'm giving back a little bit in the ways that I can right now. Plus, I also run the nonprofit Live Like Libby that I started in my daughter's honor that provides scholarships to dance students. So those are the ways I'm kind of feeding that need to feel like a good, helpful person. Grief brain has left me super tired and less organized. And so because of that, I have started watching a million videos and researching minimalism and decluttering and organizing and meal prepping and planning, because I just want to simplify at this point. Losing a child, you realize not much else matters. You don't need a lot of stuff. And the more stuff that I have, the less organized that I feel, and the more chaotic my house feels. And I don't like that feeling. And it's harder for me to deal with now, dealing with all the grief as well. So I just want things as simple as possible. So I've been doing a lot of research and clearing things out and decluttering and minimizing. And by the way, total sidetrack moment here, but I've been thinking about including some of those things on this channel, but I wasn't sure if people would be interested in those kind of videos. So if you could leave me feedback in the comments, I would be so grateful. If you would like to see videos like that with that kind of content, with like the meal planning and the minimizing and the cleaning and organizing, decluttering, that kind of stuff. If you'd like to see that kind of content, can you please comment below and let me know that you'd be interested, because I would love to find out if people would like to see that kind of stuff, or if you'd rather have me stick to just the grief and child loss topics. Okay. Oh, and while I'm at it, if you could hit the subscribe button and the like button, that really helps the algorithm and helps me get my message to more people. So I would appreciate it if you would do that as well, if you found this content helpful. So for right now, getting back to where we were, just to kind of recap, if you're feeling lost, the first thing you need to do is accept that you're not the same person, and then start dreaming. Start dreaming. Take some quiet time to yourself and actually ask yourself, what do I like to do? What do I want my life to look like? And then start planning really small action steps that will head you in that direction. Again, we're not trying to light the world on fire here. We're just trying to put one foot in front of the other, going in a certain direction. Okay. You can do it. You've got this. I know you can. I am here for you. If you are a grieving parent and you are interested in finding a support group of other grieving parents just to kind of talk through things and have discussions and cry and vent and scream and all those things that grieving parents do, we have built a virtual child loss support group community. So I will leave links below with more information if that's something that you think would help you. We would love to have you join us. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So big hugs to everyone, sending my love, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.